Hello, this is not scripted at all, just a meandering in my head. But like as I start talking about my ex anniversary, because it's like being divorced and so on, um, more and more often relationship conversations come up, and more often I find myself telling people my little secret set of rules. The rules are basically there because I've got mental health problems. I've never hidden that. I've always been worried of becoming some sort of weird psycho stalker bloke. Like that's my biggest fear, because every creepy stalker person thinks they're some sort of anti-hero, and they've got some sort of delusional feeling they're in some sort of romance story. They never understand, or don't seem to understand from what I'm hearing, that they are creepy stalker people. And this is not just a male thing. This is a female thing as well. I mean, like if if you're not in touch with reality, or you have problems with understanding reality, it's a risk. So, to stop that ever happening, I came up with a set of rules, and I'm going to share those rules with you now. And I think I'll try and do them in reverse order and do the most important one last, I think. Right. Starters. Never ask anyone out who's in a couple. You just don't. I mean, there's no point, because if they're gonna go out with you and cheat on their partner, then they're gonna cheat on you later. I mean, if they're it's that's it's you're not going to be the exception to their personal ethics. I mean, if they think it's okay to cheat, then they're going to think it's okay to cheat on you later. No matter what self-licensing they give themselves, if they think it's okay to cheat under certain circumstances, then they're going to do it to you. So there's no point, asking out anyone out in a couple at all. Just even if they say yes, you've lost. Two, you always support a couple. Um, it doesn't matter whether him or her is saying how crap their partner is and stuff, or how pissed off they are. People blow off steam. It doesn't mean it's real. Plus, you don't know both sides of the story. Yes, some bloke might have cheated on some lass and she might be moaning about it. You don't know if she didn't cheat on him 6 months earlier, or whether she's starving him of emotional affection or even physical affection for the last year. You don't know both sides of the story. It's people of both genders use manipulation tactics and then try and make themselves out to be the victim. So don't if someone's in a couple and you're pressed for an opinion, and only if you're pressed for opinion, you either give a supportive opinion or a neutral opinion. You don't break you don't make things harder for in a world that's already hard to stay as a couple. Next rule, I think I'm up to number three now, is if someone does split up, it doesn't count for 3 weeks. Um, People argue, people swear they're never going to talk to each other again. You do not want to be someone's rebound, which they deeply regret, which means they never back together with someone they're deeply in love with because they had a little act out of spite or a moment of weakness. Um, you know, Picking someone up when they're emotionally traumatized because they're in couple turmoil is no better than taking advantage of someone when they're drunk. They've got all those brain chemicals, they've got all that heartache, they can't think straight. Again, male or female doesn't matter. You don't try and pick up someone when it's been less than 3 weeks. When 3 weeks has passed, because you can't be a saint. If 3 weeks has been passed, literally, if they haven't made up by then or got to get back together by then, you have to accept that chances are, and not only that, 2 weeks is how long it takes for most things to detox. Most detox things for about 3 weeks. So if after 3 weeks they're still not back together, then you can ask them out. And I suppose the last rule is like the super most important one, like the golden one of all times. If you don't want to be like a creepy stalker person, if you don't want to worry about being detached from reality and not seeing things the way they're supposed to be, the last golden rule is you only ask someone out once. Just once, only once. If they say no, then it's no. You don't flirt with them again. You don't ask them out again. You just leave it. Forget all the rom-coms and all the stupid romance stories you might have been shoved with in your life. You know, if you're not sure about your own mental health, like I am, then you ask out once, and no matter how much you think they're flirting or looking at you sideways or flashing you or Riley smile, it might be in your head. There's a 90% chance it will just be in your head. So ask out once. If they say no, don't ask them out again. Simple as that. I know it seems harsh, and it may seem that almost anti-romantic, but that's kind of the point. Um, but it's the way of guaranteeing 100% binding that you're not living in a fantasy world and you're not stalking anyone. Because, from my mind, I'd rather die alone than go down the rabbit hole and be that sort of person. That's you know, there is nothing worse in my head than becoming that. So I'd rather die alone than ask someone out a second time. Having said that, if they ask you out, if they change their mind and ask you out, fine. You know, that's then you can say yes and so on. It's not as if you're burning their existence. You can still be friends with them, whatever. Just stick them in the friend zone in your head. And if they ask you out, if they change their mind, fine. That's okay. Then you can say yes. But as long as there's a clear asking you out. And quite frankly, if they're too scared to ask you out, then they don't really want to ask you out, and they don't care enough. If if someone goes, oh, I couldn't ask anyone out because I'm too scared. If you like someone enough, no matter how bad an idea it is, if or how humiliating it might be, if you really like someone, you ask them out. If you're not a player and you're going with actual feelings, you ask them out if you like them enough. So ask out once, never again. And if they like you enough, they'll ask you out later if they change their mind. But you're not holding on, you're not waiting for them to change it. You're assuming a no is a no forever. Just to clarify here, do not fall into some secret fantasy romance story where you're kind of like waiting for them in the wings. They say no, count it as over. Still socialize, still chat with them and stuff, but they are no longer a prospect unless they specifically ask you out. And you assume that's never going to happen. You move on. And I think if you follow those rules, then you will never become a creepy stalker person. Obviously, nothing's 100% binding, but if you follow those like super, super fanatically wise, I don't see any loopholes in here personally of how that can go wrong. I mean, your brain is a tricky thing, and it will always try and basically. I see the mental health as an opponent. It's always trying to get you. It's always trying to find some little leeway or crowbar to kind of like screw you over. But having a set of rules helps, and if you stick to those religiously, to try like playing a chess match against your mental health, you can probably beat it if you think tactically. So those are my rules. Hopefully that'll help someone out there. Hopefully it will stop someone being a stalker and stop some future stalker type victim. And that's what I stick to. I'm now up to about 9 minutes on this video, so I'll cut off. Again, it wasn't scripted, but this is the rules I live by. And I'll just find a way of turning this off. If you're trying to use a camera, which is always hilarious. Come on, where's the turning off button? No, not that one.